Welcome to the Woot House. I'm MrHollywoot, here to show you my Season 5 Multishot Boson. Before I get too far into this, big shout out to chat. This season has mostly been carry the Woot season. I guess that's every season. Welcome to the Woot House. All right, but big shout out specifically to Schecter. You're going to see this build, or you're going to see this armor broke down a little bit later in the build. But most of the gear that you are going to see was donated by Schecter, and specifically this amazing gem that is never going to be replaced. Thank you, Schecter, for quitting multiple times. I really appreciate all of the fat loot. Much love, my friend. All right, guys, so first, let's show you the character itself. We've got a stat breakdown of mostly dex. This is a one-shot build. If you get hit, you usually die. Well, you might need a CTA. You might get one extra shot, but it's a mostly dexterity build. We're looking for big damage here. So enough strength to wear your gear, full build dex everywhere. I have yet to respec even my first time just to get my free points out of strength to put back into dex. We'll do that eventually. But it already slaps. You're going to love it. As for the actual skills themselves, max multi-shot first, then I went at one point into penetrate, got my pierce up to the 60s, and critical strike until it stops improving. You get a few plus skills from some of my equipment, but not much. And then we are maxed Valk. You could change out this build instead of going guided arrow, magic arrow. You could go Valkyrie with synergies to have better, stronger Valks and just sit on the multi-shot. I went with guided arrow and magic arrow for now. We might toy with it a little bit later. And when it comes to the mercenary itself, this is kind of important for the build. The first thing is you need at least a level 14 fanaticism faith. If you've got one of these, the multi-shot works really well. I used faith before I got the wind force as my primary bow, and then put harmony on the mercenary. A couple different ways you can play with that, whatever you want to do. All the gear that's on the mercenary is going to be the faith, and then everything else is heavy strength builds. You're going to see on pretty much every piece. PDR on the belt, but you've got strength, just so that we can use the Templar's might with an 8 might aura on it. That's super important. And then I use the Vigor mercenary so that I can zippity-doo all the way around real quick. When it comes to the actual gear breakdown, we've got War Trev slam with fire res on them. You get flat damage on there, faster run, walk, strength, a lot of base stats, and then you get Magic Find as well. I never recommend putting Magic Find as a primary stat on your characters, especially as on. Your bread and butter is clear speed, so kill. Move on, move out, get your fat loot. When it comes to the arrows, we've got IAS, ED, max damage, and deadly strike. That's kind of what you're looking for. You could look for some like piercing, maybe some crushing blow. You might find some different stuff on arrows, but this is a really good set. Higher ED would be great, and then if I could slam, I think you can slam ED on them, that would be even better. We might replace those, but probably not. When it comes to the neck, a couple different ways you can get your amp damage depending on what mercenary you're using. We're currently using an ED slammed Atmoscarab, just because the amp damage breaks immunities, and then the ED is amazing. Tri-socket Valk Wing with a ED damage jewels in there. We've got another one we're working on too. Yeah, we'll probably upgrade this though at some point. This helm isn't end game. The Wind Force itself is a 5 ED off perfect slammed Hydra bow with 4 ED jewels in there. We'll switch these out for 4 ohms when we get there. We're only at 2 ohms right now, but it'll slap a little bit harder. Pretty good Wind Force. The ring, this is the other thing that'll be replaced with the Wisp projector. That'll be best in slot. I don't really care for the slam too much on Wisp just because we want it for Heart of the Wolverine, and that'll be a lot of extra damage. Then we've got a dual leech, dual primary stat, dual res, and a life after kill ring. A lot of stats on here. This is really what you're looking for. You could do a little bit better with some other stuff, but this is a pretty fire ring. And then the bread and butter of belts is the Nosfrozen Coil belt. Deadly Strike, IAS, just amazing piece. If you're not using this, you're using the Pierce belt. This would be, you get to the point where this is just better though. Yeah. And then this is what makes the build right here. All of this. We do have a torch and an Annihilus small charm. For every plus skill, it's the equivalent of like a 6/6 min-max for multi-shot. But you get a lot of other, all res, a little bit of life. So you don't get one shot as much. And then everything else, you're looking for max damage AR on your charms down here. You're going to see everything I have is going to be a 9, 10, 12. You're looking for big numbers or other abilities on. Like I got 30 life on this one, pretty hot, and then max damage on everything else. So if you like this build, I'm going to warn you now, this is a very high rune intensive build. At the time we're making this, I want to say it's worth like 80 high runes. And we're pretty still early into the season, and it's only going to go up in value. The multi-shot Zon can be made for a lot less. You could absolutely make a budget Zon, but this is a super high-end multi-shot Zon, again, that was donated by chat. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for, supporting the Woot House and helping me make the content. Love you guys. If you like it, do that like, subscribe thing and all that. I love to grow my YouTube. Love y'all. Wootski. Outski.